If you've ever looked at your debt balance and thought, why am I still this far in debt? Most people think debt keeps them stuck for one obvious reason. But I don't think that's the real problem. In fact, the thing doing the most damage is usually happening so quietly that most people never notice it. And once you see it, you'll understand why some debts seem to follow people for years, and what you can do to finally start making real progress. That's why so many people end up feeling stuck. They make their payments. They try to be responsible. They avoid taking on new debt. Yet months go by and the balance barely seems to move. Sometimes it even feels like all that effort is accomplishing nothing. And that's where frustration starts turning into discouragement. Because when progress feels invisible, it's easy to wonder if you'll ever get ahead. The strange part is that many people are actually making progress. They just can't see it yet. And the reason has a lot to do with how interest works behind the scenes. Most people focus on the debt itself. But debt is only part of the problem. Interest is what quietly changes the game. Every month, interest adds new cost to an existing balance. That means a portion of your payment goes toward interest before it ever touches the debt. Imagine trying to empty a bucket while someone keeps pouring water back into it. You're making progress. But not as much as you think. That's why two people can make the same payment and experience very different results. One balance falls quickly. The other barely seems to move. Often the difference isn't the payment. It's how much interest is quietly consuming it. And because it happens gradually, many people underestimate how much it affects their financial progress. The longer interest stays in control, the more expensive debt becomes. Money that could be going towards savings gets redirected. Goals get delayed. Emergency funds grow slower. Financial flexibility becomes harder to build. The emotional cost can be just as frustrating. People start feeling like they're failing. They question their discipline. They wonder why nothing seems to change. And the longer that continues, the harder it becomes to build real financial momentum. In a minute, I'll show you the simple shift that helps many people start making faster progress without working harder. The first step is changing how you think about interest. Most people treat debt as the problem. Instead, start treating interest as the target. Every dollar of interest you eliminate gives future payments more power. That's why paying extra toward high-interest debt can create such a dramatic difference over time. It's also why reducing interest rates, refinancing when appropriate, or avoiding new high-interest debt can have a bigger impact than many people realize. The goal isn't simply making payments. The goal is reaching the point where more of your money starts working for you instead of your debt. When that starts happening, progress accelerates. And suddenly the balance begins shrinking much faster. A simple way to apply this is to look at your debt differently this week. Instead of asking, "How much debt do I have?" ask, "How much interest am I paying?" Look at your statements this week. Find the debt charging you the most interest. If you have extra money available, that's usually where it can make the biggest difference first. That's the approach that helped me understand why some debts seemed impossible to escape while others disappeared surprisingly quickly. Once I started paying attention to interest instead of just balances, my decisions became clearer. And every payment started accomplishing more. Understanding interest is important because it shows you why progress can feel so slow. But even after people reduce debt and gain momentum, another problem often appears. Not because they're making bad decisions. Because their lifestyle quietly starts expanding with their income. And before they realize it, the extra money they worked so hard to create starts disappearing too. That's what we'll talk about next.